Good morning. 1 week ago today, Russian President Vladimir Putin presided over the launch ceremony for his country's newest icebreaker, the Shkotka. The ship is Russia's fourth new icebreaker to be launched in recent years, and 2 more are already under construction. During the ceremony, President Putin told assembled shipbuilders that, quote, strengthening the nation's icebreaker fleet is crucial to our plans for Arctic development and boosting cargo traffic. Those plans undoubtedly include ensuring Russian access to the untapped gas, oil, mineral, and rare earth element reserves that abound across the Arctic. These Arctic resources are vital to the economic, national, and homeland security of the United States and our allies. Seeding these reserves and the batteries, semiconductors, magnets, and energy resources that are derived from them to our adversaries in Russia or to our rivals in the People's Republic of China could soon lead to higher prices at our gas pumps and on our heating bills. It could jeopardize the readiness of our armed forces. It could compromise the security of our computers, cars, and cell phones. And in a crisis, it could subject us to Russian or Chinese largesse in order to access essential goods like food and medical supplies, among many other risks. Simply put, Russia and China are strengthening their capabilities in the Arctic, and we cannot afford to allow our own United States Coast Guard and United States Navy to fall behind. That is why this past summer, President Biden, Prime Minister Trudeau, and President Stubb formed the Icebreaker Collaboration Effort, or ICE Pact, a trilateral agreement among the United States, Canada, and Finland to partner on the design, production, and maintenance of icebreakers, enabling each of our countries and our allies across the world to acquire and utilize best-in-class icebreaking vessels on an accelerated timeline and at a lower cost to taxpayers. Today, I am proud to welcome Minister Jean-Yves Duclos of Canada, Minister Wille Rydman of Finland, and their respective delegations to the United States Department of Homeland Security and to the headquarters of the United States Coast Guard to sign the Pact's formal Memorandum of Understanding and to begin this critical work. The benefits of this new transformative partnership will extend far beyond our polar footprint. The ICE Pact will be a catalyst for industrial capacity. In the United States, that means more jobs at American shipyards. It will also further President Biden's core strategic objective of making critical supply chains less susceptible to intentional and unintentional disruption in the decades to come. To meet this imperative, the Department of Homeland Security's Supply Chain Resilience Center, which we established last year as a dedicated central coordinating hub for our government, our allies, industry, labor organizations, and emerging sectors, to together identify priority supply chains, assess their risks, and coordinate the filling of resilience gaps, will serve as America's ICE Pact national coordinating body. Finally, our signatures today send a clear message to our allies, adversaries, and rivals alike. We are committed to keeping the polar regions peaceful, prosperous, and open for all. No country can realize this ideal alone. Alliances based on trust, respect, and shared values provide the only foundation upon which sustained progress, security, and stability can be built. Minister Duclos, Minister Rydman, thank you for all that you have done to foster and maintain such a partnership between your countries and the United States, for your work to make the ICE Pact a reality, and for demonstrating the enduring commitment of your nations here in Washington today. I am now very pleased to welcome to the podium on behalf of President Biden his senior advisor, Amos Hochstein.
Secretary Mayorkas, thank you for hosting this event and for your leadership on this issue and for so many other issues that you have shown tremendous leadership on. Minister Rydman, Minister Duclos, thank you for making the journey to Washington to be able to sign this. It's an honor to be here with you today as we sign the trilateral Memorandum of Understanding that will govern the ICE Pact. Today's signing is the culmination of significant work by many people in this room and represents a critical step in deepening cooperation with our allies on an issue that is at the intersection of national security and increasingly economic security. And that is why this arrangement and its implementation will remain a priority as we transition from one administration to the next. It is not about politics, it is about security. It is about what can happen when we work together to address our collective economic and security interests. Effective collaboration and coordination with our allies and partners is at the heart of a successful industrial policy in an era of strategic competition, and it is how the White House links U.S. foreign policy and economic policy. Recent examples of coordination with our allies and partners include President Biden's signature efforts, such as the AUKUS, which promotes a free and open Indo-Pacific that is secure and stable, and the U.S. Navy's Maritime Statecraft Initiative, encompassing not only naval diplomacy, but a whole-of-government effort to build comprehensive U.S. and allied commercial and naval maritime power. And of course, the Partnership for Global Infrastructure and Investment, where we are working with our G7 allies to secure commercial investments in low and middle-income countries to secure global supply chains, as the Secretary just noted. Each of these efforts are designed to increase the economic competitiveness and resilience of both the United States and those of our allies. And today is no different. The United States currently has 2 working icebreakers, both of which are beyond their initial intended service life during a critical time frame in the high latitudes. The impacts of climate change are amplified in the Arctic, and less ice means more Arctic shipping lanes that have shorter transits and bypass choke points like the Suez Canal or the Panama Canal. And while this is a devastating example of the impact of climate crisis is having on our world, it is also a fact that growing access to Arctic shipping lanes presents opportunity and also increased risk. Today, the U.S. accounts for less than half of 1% of the world's order book for commercial shipbuilding on a tonnage basis. And the decline of American shipbuilding and maritime capabilities has been an intractable challenge. But as President Biden says, we're living in a decisive decade for American renewal, and to vigorously compete, we need to be strategic. Together, we need to use our ingenuity, our access to capital, and our ability to innovate to build ships for use at home and abroad. Our ability to provide a consistent surface presence in the North and the South Poles needs to be at the forefront. But like much of our shipbuilding sector, our ability to produce these types of complex vessels had atrophied. That ends today. The ICE Pact we are signing today will enable us to build a fleet for the U.S. and establish a trusted icebreaker supply chain for our partners and allies. It will serve as proof that by working together we can overcome non-market practices in a way that is not zero-sum. The arrangement will also reinforce the signal to Russia and China that the United States and its allies intend to collaborate to increase our competitive edge in strategic industries like shipbuilding, build a robust polar icebreaking fleet at scale, and to enforce international norms and treaties that promote peace and prosperity in the Arctic and the Antarctic. Our hope is that this multilateral effort will continue to serve as a template for how we can work with allies and partners to compete together, and as a playbook for building resilience in key strategic sectors where the United States needs to boost its productive capacity. Today, the United States, Canada, and Finland will commit to deepen our cooperation to ensure the polar regions remain peaceful, cooperative, and prosperous. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. First, our dear thanks to our American partners and friends for welcoming us to beautiful Washington to solidify a strategic alliance that will bolster our interest for our shipbuilding industries and enhance our capabilities to defend our interest in the Arctic as well. Indeed, like the United States and Finland, Canada recognizes the importance of the Arctic to our economic, climate, and national security interests. Last July, during the NATO summit, we jointly announced an enhanced economic and security trilateral partnership between our three countries. That strategic partnership, known as the Icebreaker Collaboration Effort, or IcePact, will deepen our countries' cooperation by strengthening our marine industries and allowing new equipment and capabilities to be produced more quickly and more efficiently. Today, we're taking the next step under that agreement. The joint Memorandum of Understanding we're signing today will develop world-class Arctic and polar icebreakers through the exchange of knowledge and resources in each of our countries. Equally importantly, that will create more good-paying jobs in the United States, in Finland, and in Canada, including in my own Quebec City region with Davie Shipyard and their suppliers. La signature du IcePact permettra d'augmenter rapidement et efficacement la production de brise-glace polaires et de programmes en améliorant significativement le partage de savoir-faire et de ressources entre nos pays. Et ce qui est tout aussi important, cette entente va mener à la création de plus de bons emplois bien payés pour la classe moyenne au Canada, en Finlande et au Canada, incluant dans ma région de Québec avec le chantier Davie et ses importants fournisseurs. Through this partnership, we will be setting up a system to exchange information on the design, production, and capabilities of these icebreakers, which will enhance our industrial capabilities. We will also work together on a joint workforce development program, and we will create a framework to share research and innovation for future Arctic and polar projects. The information and best practices Canada will gain through the IcePact will help inform our joint work on the icebreaking capabilities we are building under Canada's national shipbuilding strategy. This IcePact builds on Canada's commitments to asserting its sovereignty in the Arctic and northern regions, advancing strategic priorities outlined in Canada's defense policy update, which is called Our North, Strong and Free, a renewed vision for Canada's defense. Our North, Strong and Free highlighted new overall investments of $8 billion over 5 years and $73 billion over 20 years in defense spending introduced in our recent budget 2024. With those major investments, Canada's defense spending to GDP ratio is expected to rise to 1.76% by 2029-2030 and to reach our 2% NATO spending target by 2032. It will also advance the interests of northern and Arctic peoples, including indigenous peoples and northern communities, through the Arctic and Northern Policy Framework so they can continue to thrive well into the future. Key leaders of Canada's national shipbuilding strategy, like Chantier Davie in Lévis, Seaspan's Vancouver Shipyard, and Irving Shipyard in Halifax, are leading the way in shipbuilding in Canada, including for polar icebreakers and Arctic-capable ships. But the IcePact is there to reinforce also the Canadian Coast Guard fleet that will be in need of a whole of Canada Team Canada effort. This means that work not only starts with the 3 shipyards I just mentioned, but also for smaller shipyards, thousands of suppliers, steel and aluminum workers, and research hubs across our country. In closing, the IcePact is also about providing the capability for like-minded nations to uphold international rules and standards to sustain peace and stability in the Arctic and Antarctic regions. With the rise of autocratic regimes and conflicts like Putin's barbaric and illegal invasion of Ukraine, allied countries need to rely on each other and on us three to cooperate and to protect democracy, defend our values at home and abroad, and create good-paying jobs for all our middle classes. And that is why this partnership is not only important, it is absolutely essential. I would like to end with a word about our American friends. Today's announcement is great news for several important reasons. It will drive the innovative and efficient production of polar icebreakers and other Arctic and polar capabilities in our two countries. And that is because no relationship between two countries in the world is stronger, bolder, and more economically efficient and beneficial than the relationship between our two countries. And with today's announcement, alongside our Finnish friends, we are finding new ways to reinforce this global relationship, and so important for our two countries for decades to come. And on that, I would like now to turn the floor to Minister Rydman.
Dear Secretary of Homeland Security, Minister of Public Services and Procurement, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends of the marine industry. It is my pleasure to be here today in Washington, D.C. for the signing of the ICE-Pact Memorandum of Understanding. I would also like to extend a warm thank to you, our hosts at the U.S. Coast Guard. But first, let us talk about something colder. Over 2 years ago, Russia started its illegal war of aggression against Ukraine. It has also affected how we view the importance of polar capabilities. Previously, the Arctic and its fragile environments offered untapped business potential to be realized in a sustainable way. But as said, now our concerns are different. Current geopolitical situation means that we must be able to operate in the polar regions to maintain peace and stability, without which there is no or limited room for new, faster shipping lanes, nor the sustainable exploration of raw materials. Finland has a long tradition and experience in designing and building vessels for the Arctic conditions. Finnish shipyards plan and build luxury cruise ships, ferries, icebreakers, naval vessels, and special vessels for commercial use and authorities, such as for Finnish Navy and Border Guard. The ships are built with the support of a strong supply network. The Finnish maritime industry ecosystem and its over 1,000 companies are well known for world-class expertise, lean manufacturing processes, and ecological and innovative solutions. Finland is the #1 country in the world in the icebreaker know-how. We are the only country in the world that can provide the whole icebreaker value chain from design to full-service delivery agreements. Accumulation of this know-how did not happen quickly nor easily. Finland is the only country in the world where all ports freeze over in a typical winter. Before steam engines took over from sails and steel hulls took over from wooden one, Finland was isolated from the west by ice 4 months per winter. Our wish to forge ties and belongs and to do business with the West created strong incentives to master winter navigation of icy seas. Development in this field started in 1880s, and in 1939 the first fully Finnish icebreaker, or Sisu, was launched from the Helsinki shipyard. The same Helsinki shipyard is still around and still a leader in icebreaker building. Today, Finland has 3 big shipyards in operation which are supported by the large maritime industry network. I am confident that this new collaboration turns a new page in the history of Helsinki shipyard and the Finnish Arctic know-how more broadly. Given the realities of current geopolitical situation, the Finnish government has built and deepened strategic partnerships during its tenure. Two of our key allies, the United States and Canada, are natural partners not only in the Arctic but also in the fields of defense, technology, trade and innovations. The Ice Pact, together with our recent NATO membership, strengthens our political and economic ties with the United States and Canada. With Ice Pact, we aim to take our bilateral and trilateral collaboration to the next level. Dear ladies and gentlemen, our national poet, J.L. Runeberg, said, "We, the outposts of Europe against the nature, in ice our success is shaped, and we reap our bread out of the ice and the snow." Our success may be shaped in ice, but it did not happen without cooperation between nations in the past. We are sure the cooperation between our countries will be warm and rewarding in Arctic, Antarctic and other regions. Thank you very much.